Well, what do we have here? A best of 2022 top laners. This is going to be the first positional ranking that I do this year. So we're going to start in the top lane. This isn't going to feature every top laner in the world. This is only going to be a select few of them. I'm going to try to have this be under 10 minutes. I know that's extremely difficult. Anybody who watches these videos knows that I have trouble with that. So we're going to do a quick version of the disclaimer. Not every player is on this list. Not every player on this list is who I think are the actual 10 or 13 best players in the world. This list can change. But I'm going to try to limit myself. I have about 8.5 minutes before I should start the outro. So the disclaimer, yes, all these players are better than me. All the professional players are better than me. I get it. Let's start on tiermaker.com. Let's get into it. Here we are in the D tier. So the way that I did this is I started in North America and I worked my way up. This is not the final rankings. I might switch them a little bit in the video, but the first player that we're going to go over is Impact. So Impact is playing for EG. I think that EG is going to have a really good split this year. Impact is definitely past his prime, but he is still a serviceable top laner, and I think it's an appropriate place to start. So all the players in the list are going to be relative to Impact, basically. So we have some players that are a little bit better. We have some players that are a lot better, in my opinion. But we're going to move up one tier into the C tier. We've got 3 players here, and I think that people are already going to be upset. But like I said, this is going to change a little bit as time goes on. So we have 3 more Western, quote-unquote, Western top laners. There are no true North American players on this list. We have Impact, who's originally from Korea. We have Bwipo, who's from the LEC. We have Summit, who's from Korea. And we have Alfari, who is from the LEC. So I think that Bwipo is definitely deserving of being in like the top roughly 10 players because his game knowledge is incredible. The fact that he transitioned to jungle last year was pretty awesome. I have a lot of respect for him as a League of Legends player in general, and he's also very intelligent. He's always willing to talk about the game. You see him a lot on analyst desks and stuff like that. I'm not sure if they'll use him in the same capacity in North America, but I think that it's reasonable to have Bwipo on this list, especially since we're taking a couple players from North America. I basically went through my tier list from the other videos and took the top players and just tried to fit them into this list. Next up is Summit. It'll be interesting to see where Summit ends this year on the list, because if you told me that by the end of the year that Summit is worse than Bwipo, worse than Impact, worse than Someday, I wouldn't be 100% shocked, because when Someday and Impact were in Korea, I'm pretty sure they were thought of as higher quality top laners than Summit. But obviously when Summit comes over to a place like North America, where he should be better than, as good if not better than all the top laners here, we have to see how it plays out. So if C9 has a successful year, it'll be easy for people to say that Summit is better than all these other top laners. In reality, I'm not sure if that's the case, but this will be a good way to test it. Then we have Alfari. I think that Alfari is the best top laner in the West. I think that he is a very good carry player. I was always hoping that public sentiment would kind of turn on him so that I could be a little bit more supportive of Alfari. And after the whole Team Liquid debacle, I think that some people are forgetting how good Alfari is. I'm sure that most people will have him as one of their top Western top laners, but it's really, it's the question is like, how good are they relative to everybody else? So next up, this is going to be controversial, and this is why I'm saying that this is not necessarily how the list is going to end, but I kind of wanted to make a special honorable mention kind of thing for 2 players out of Korea that I think are going to be very good this year and long term. And it goes hand in hand with what I talk about, where it's like the younger players have the higher range of outcomes because we don't know a lot about them. And those 2 players are Burdal and Zeus. So Zeus is a player from T1's academy system, and the fact that they would but the fact that they would let Kana leave mean that T1 has extreme confidence in Zeus. When they let Khan leave their team, they let Khan leave because they knew that they had Kana waiting in the wings. And we could be in another spot where they know how good their backup player is. I think that Zeus is 17 or 18 years old. And just because you're young doesn't mean that you're a good League of Legends player. But when you're a young League of Legends player and an organization like T1 puts their belief in you, I think that it means their ceiling is like being one of the best top laners in the world. And they're not going to waste Faker's years. They're not going to waste Keiria's years with just random players. So I'm very excited to see what Zeus is able to do. And then we have Burdal. Burdal is another player who's extremely young. They were on Gen G last year, and at Worlds, they actually got a couple of games at Worlds because they turned 17 during the tournament. I think that's true. So I'm excited for players like Burdal and Zeus because I think that they do have the high upside because they're replacing legitimate top laners. It's not like they're not replacing lower end top laners. So I don't necessarily think that they're better than Alfari, Bwipo, and Summit today. But I think by the end of the year, players like Burdal and Zeus will be thought of as, as good or if not better than these top laners, and they will be thought of probably as the future of top lane, at least in Korea. So that's that. Sorry if that hurts your feelings. Next up, we have two more players. These two players are from the LPL, so we have Ale and Flandre. Ale had a very good World Championship, and honestly, I kind of feel required to put him in this list. I don't necessarily think that he's a world-class top laner. I don't necessarily think that he's much better than Bwipo, Summit, or Alfari, so I could see it being like this, where he's in this tier, and then you can kind of reorganize this tier however you see fit. And then obviously Flandre was the top laner for the world champion EDG. And it's not just that he was the top laner for the world champions. He has consistently been a very good top laner for the past 5 or so years, even back to when he was on Snake Esports. So he's a very talented player. He was on a team that had some problems for about a year or 2 years, so it kind of limited their results. But once he was on a better team, you could see the results start coming in, and he was a contributing factor to that. But again, I think that you could easily justify putting him down here. And I think that all of these players are somewhat separated from who I consider the top 5 top laners in the world. And I think that you guys know who one of those players will be.
You have no idea how bad it gets. I wish I knew how to quit you.
I wish I knew how to quit the Shy, but I can't do it. I think that the Shy is still one of the best top laners in the world. I know last year was rough, but we have Zoom, who is one of the best weak side top laners in the world, is great at playing tanks. When Zoom came back during the 2020 season, Zoom and Kanavi had a great year. And a lot of people were saying that Zoom was the best top laner in the world, but it was really the meta that kind of allowed him to look like that. Next up, we have Bin. In that same season, Bin helped bring Suning to the World Finals. I think that Bin switching teams, this could be a very good thing for Bin, where he's allowed to be a little bit more of a focal point for the team. But it also makes it clear that a lot of Chinese teams think of Bin as one of the top laners out there. Then we have Breathe. Breathe was formerly on World Elite. I think this year he's going to have another great year because he started to show while he was at World Elite that he was, a world-class player and was able to carry a lot of these games. And he reminds me of like players like the Shy and Kana and Bin, where they're more carry-style players and Zoom is more of a tank-style player. Then we have the Shy. Obviously, the Shy basically not carried Invictus to a world championship, but he was one of the 2 most important players on that team, and his play style does make him look bad sometimes, but it's only bad. It only looks bad to the untrained eye. People who know League of Legends and watch League of Legends for the past 10 years understand that what the Shy is doing is trying to make up for the limitations of other players on his team. So there's the timer. So I'm willing to give the Shy the benefit of the doubt. But with all that being said, I do think that Kana is the best top laner in the world right now. He has an extremely diverse champion pool, and he is a more, not refined version of the Shy, but he's a tighter range of outcomes than the Shy. His good looks almost as good as the Shy's best, but his valleys, his lows are much higher, I think, than the Shy's. So that's it. That's my top laners for 2022. I really do think that these 5 top laners in the S tier are the 5 highest quality top laners in the world. And then you can make arguments for who belongs at the top of the C tier. But that's all I've got for you today. I'm going to do one of these videos for every position. If you want to know more about the players from different regions in their roles, I've made a couple of other videos. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.